Welcome into the I-80 Boys College Football Podcast. We've got a little Penn State versus Boise State CFP Playoffs Round 2 on tap for everybody today. Chris, I'll start us off here with Penn State. Look, SMU got obliterated by Penn State in that game. Here's the thing I want to focus on. Drew Aller didn't play his best game, obviously, against SMU, right? But he didn't have to. The defense spotted him 2 pick sixes. And so anytime you get spotted 14 points in a game, you got to like your chances there. Look, when all else fails, hand the damn ball off to Nick Singleton or Katron Allen, who combined for 160 yards and 3 touchdowns against SMU. Now, whatever we can say about SMU, right? It doesn't matter at this point. Penn State did exactly what they needed to do in a spot where it would have been really easy for them to play letdown this week. So good for them. Tyler Warren, okay, they're do-it-all tight end. Besides Travis Hunter, he might be the most Swiss Army knife player in the country. Just get him the damn ball and let him do his thing, right? To me, again, we talk about it all the time. I'm a Falcons fan. Draft him. You don't have a good quarterback or a good tight end, apparently, so just draft him and let him play both for you. That would be my suggestion there. Anyways, the question that everybody has coming to this one is, can Penn State shut down Ashton Jeanty? Chris is going to talk a little more about Boise State and Ashton Jeanty here in a minute in this high profile rushing attack. Look, if the thing we've seen in the last couple of years about Penn State is they kind of struggle, I feel as if, when teams can run the football against you. You go back and you think about Michigan, last couple of years, you think about Ohio State, some of those teams that have beaten them, they've been able to run the football down their throat, and Penn State really hasn't had the answers to stop it, even when they knew it was coming. I think, what was it, the 30 some odd straight rushing attempts Michigan had, just last year, was it? And they still couldn't stop it. Look, if Boise State can chew the clock and run the ball on them and keep our boy Aller off the field and keep him out of rhythm, Penn State might have their hands full with this, Chris. We're going to see what's going to happen. I don't necessarily know if that's going to be it yet. We'll see here in a minute. I want to hear a little more about Boise State.
Yeah, Christian, no. Boise State, hell of a year this season. 12-1, obviously. The only loss was week 2 against Oregon. Everybody kind of remembers that game. Oregon started off kind of slow this year, and I don't think anybody really, looking back, thought Boise State was going to be what they were at that point, but they lost that game only by 3, 37-34 to Oregon. So, yeah, overall, though, hell of a year for Boise. Let's talk about that offense. They're averaging 39.1 points per game. That's actually 3rd best in the country. And some of that is too because of their quarterback. Nobody talks about this guy a lot. Maddox Matson. He's had a pretty good season. Over 2,700 yards, 62% completion percentage, along with 22 touchdowns. Christian, only 3 interceptions, so he doesn't turn the ball over. That's huge. The kid can also run a little bit. He's got 5 rushing touchdowns on the year as well. You alluded to it. If you guys barely follow college football, obviously everybody knows who Ashton Jeanty is. This kid has been unbelievable. One of the best seasons I've ever seen by a running back in my lifetime. The dude's almost rushed for 2,500 yards, 29 touchdowns, which is crazy. He averages, Christian, get this, over 7 yards per carry, which is insane. And I'll talk about him a little more in a minute here. Obviously, at the wide receiver spot, though, their leading receiver is Cameron Camper. He's got 55 catches for over 800 yards. Their tight end is very good, too. Matt Lauder, he's a weapon. Matson uses him quite a bit as well. More impressive, though, and this is a stat that I think is kind of huge here, is the offensive line for Boise. They've only given up 12 sacks all year. Now, I know some of that is the competition that Boise plays out in the Mountain West that get all that, but still, top 10 in the country. They don't allow a lot of sacks. Penn State's defense, as we know and you alluded to, is very good. The defensive side of the ball for Boise, they've been pretty solid this year. They give up 21.9 points per game, which is 39th best in the country. And one thing Boise does do very, very well, they get to the quarterback. They got 51 sacks on the season. So that's a ton. Yes, I know people are going to say down in the comments, yeah, who the hell have they played, though? I get all that. Still, they can obviously get to the quarterback. We'll see if Penn State's O-line can hold up here. Look, my keys to the game here, Christian, and especially for Boise in this game, I think it's pretty obvious. Can Ashton Jeanty run the football here against this vaunted Penn State defense? Ashton Jeanty averages 190 yards per game on the ground. You heard that right, 190 by one human being. Penn State only allows 100. Something's got to give here. I mean, it is what it is. Something's got to give here. So for as far as my prediction goes in this one, I like Boise State. I like the season, Christian. I think it's going to come to an end here, though. I think Penn State's probably the better team with the better coach. I got Penn State 31, Boise State 23.
Yeah, Chris, I mean, Boise State, they played Oregon really close in the one game that you made the argument that they played this year against somebody. But still, I agree with that same sentiment there. Give me Penn State 28, Boise State 17.